Have you noticed something strange about social media lately? Every time you open your phone, someone is furious. Someone's been exposed. Someone's been cancelled. Someone is predicting the end of civilization before lunchtime. A small disagreement turns into a digital war. And the comments, ooh-wee, they feel like battlefields. Strangers arguing with the intensity of people defending their tribe. So the question is, why does social media feel so angry all the time? Is the world actually becoming more hostile? Or are we being nudged quietly into reacting this way? Welcome to Toxic Physiology. Hi, I'm Dr. Mazrui. Today, we are going to be looking at why anger spreads so easily online and why platforms are quietly rewarding it. First, I want you to notice the pattern. When you have a calm post, they rarely go viral. Meanwhile, outrage spreads like wildfire. A thoughtful explanation, lovely Quranic or an inspirational quote might earn a few hundred likes. You might get a couple of retweets. But a post saying, "Can you believe this idiot said this?" or "so-and-so exposed," suddenly it explodes. Thousands of shares, millions of views, people clipping it and giving their own 2 cents. Why? Because anger grabs attention faster than almost anything else. It's literal fuel at this point. It's like a moth to a flame. Your brain actually treats it as a threat signal, something urgent, something that might affect your safety or social world. That moment of attention becomes extremely valuable in the online economy. But there's another reason this happens. You see, human brains evolved with something called negativity bias. For most of human history, missing a threat could be fatal. You die, basically. If our ancestors ignored danger, they didn't survive long enough to pass on their genes. You wouldn't see their descendants at this time period. So the brains evolved to prioritize bad news, and we are that evolution, really. Danger, conflict, violation, we're all up in there. In a world where thousands of posts compete for attention, the one that triggers that ancient alarm system rise to the top. Apart from cat videos. I feel like cat videos always seem to do well. Maybe I should have done a cat channel. So what's actually happening inside the body? The moment you see emotionally intense content, your nervous system becomes alert. Your heart rate rises. You guys should know this by now, okay? I've talked about this way too much. Your heart rate rises, your pupils widen, your brain leans forward into the moment. Your body thinks, you need to pay attention because something very important is happening, okay? At the same time, the brain releases dopamine. Now, dopamine is often misunderstood as a pleasure chemical, but that's not true. Its real function is motivation and seeking. It tells your body, look closer, there might be useful information here. Without noticing it, your nervous system has been pulled into the emotional storm. Angry posts combine several powerful signals at once. Threat, novelty, social drama. Now, this combination is extremely stimulating for the brain. You scroll, you read the comments, you look for updates. Look at reality TV. Why do you think it was so successful? We love a bit of tea, don't we? We like a bit of drama. Now, humans unconsciously mirror the emotions around them. Psychologists call this emotional contagion. What does that mean? If people around you are calm, your nervous system settles. If people around you are panicking, your body starts to tense. The same process happens online. When your feed is full of anger, outrage, mockery, conflict, your brain begins to absorb that emotional tone, even through a screen. Your nervous system starts synchronizing with the emotional environment that you're seeing, which means a feed full of outrage gradually makes your internal world feel more hostile. Now, I'm not going to lie, I get absorbed into certain things that I have no business being absorbed in. At the end of the day, we have to remember social media platforms are businesses. Their core metric is simple: engagement. The longer you stay on the platform, the more ads you see. The more ads you see, the more money the platform earns. So algorithms are trained to detect what holds your attention, and they learn something very quickly. Calm content doesn't keep people watching for long. Conflict does. Agreement ends conversations quickly, but disagreement, it multiplies them. Arguments generate comments, replies, quote posts, reaction videos, duets, threads. Every interaction tells the algorithm people are engaged. Push this further. A small moment of outrage can quickly become a global conversation, not because it is the most accurate content, no, but because it is the most engaging. Now, there is actually a powerful social force behind this. Humans evolved to survive in groups, and one of the fastest ways to unite a group is to identify a common enemy. Online outrage often works exactly like this. Someone posts an offensive clip, then thousands of people respond, "This is disgusting. These people are insane. Society's collapsing. That's it. We're finished." That shared outrage creates a feeling of unity. People feel morally aligned with others in the thread. But something else is happening too. In digital environments, outrage can become status signaling. Public anger shows others where you stand. It signals loyalty to the group, almost like wearing a badge that says, "I'm on the right side." The more dramatic the outrage, the stronger the signal, which means that outrage can become performative, not just an emotion, but a social display. And you see loads of people doing this, selective outrage, performative outrage. Some people literally have built their entire page on performative outrage. Like every day you're outraged. Like, really, girl? I think you need to take a break. Enough is enough. Anyway, another distortion occurs online. A small number of highly active users can dominate a conversation. And if those users are extremely angry, the platform amplifies them. And suddenly your feed looks like everyone is furious. But often it's a small but very loud minority creating that impression. They just have time that the rest of us don't have time to comment. Psychologists call this a distortion of perceived social norms. The brain begins to believe everyone thinks this way, even when the majority of people offline are far calmer or just silently monitoring the situation. People like me. Anyway, let's talk about your body, because that's why I'm here, okay? When you're surrounded by constant digital conflict, your nervous system doesn't get a chance to fully relax. No, it doesn't. Of course, I had to bring up the nervous system. That's why I'm here. Remember that fight or flight response? Yeah, we're talking about it here. Go watch this if you don't know what it is. That fight or flight response, the same system meant for real world danger, it keeps getting triggered by posts, comments, and videos. And over time, that can lead to chronically elevated stress hormones like cortisol, difficulty winding down after scrolling, muscle tension, headaches, and poor sleep. Okay? I bet most of the patients who come in saying that they can't sleep are probably spending most of their time online fighting. I really should start doing a survey. If any patient comes to me and says they can't sleep, they've got muscle tension, they've got headaches, I should start making it a condition to be like, let me check your phone. Let me check your X account. Let me check your comments. Let me check your notifications. I should do that. I feel like I should. I feel like every single doctor should. We need to research this properly. Someone has researched this, okay? And they suggest that using social media immediately after stressful experiences can prolong stress responses rather than helping the body recover. Heavy, emotionally loaded scrolling, especially late at night, something I always do, is always linked to sleep disruption, increased stress levels, and physical tension in the neck and shoulders. I'm telling you, I really need to start making that part of the questionnaire. If anyone who comes in with, neck pain, what do you do at night? Are you busy arguing with trolls? So this isn't just a digital drama, okay? Over time, a chronically angry feed can literally reshape how your body feels and recovers. And then you become my problem. You do. Anyway, on the topic of trolls, let's talk about this. Oh, we need to talk about trolls. Now, not everyone online is simply reacting. Some people deliberately provoke. Online trolls are users who post hostile or inflammatory comments purely to upset others or keep a conflict going. I should do a series on online trolls. I might do. Let's see. Okay. Psychological research suggests that frequent trolling behavior can be associated with traits like low empathy, manipulation, narcissism, and sometimes even enjoyment of causing distress. For the people targeted, this isn't harmless. Ongoing trolling or cyberbullying is linked to higher levels of anxiety, depression, shame, and emotional distress. People can begin to withdraw socially and feel constantly on guard, waiting for the next attack. So, when you combine an algorithm that rewards conflict, brains that are wired to detect a threat, and users who intentionally provoke outrage, you create an environment that can genuinely harm mental and physical well-being. And I feel so sorry for kids nowadays. Before, you just used to deal with trolls at school, and now you can't get away from them. No, it's forever, endless. Now, why does it feel so overwhelming? If you combine all these forces, negativity bias makes us notice conflict, dopamine makes us investigate it, emotional contagion spreads it, you've got algorithms that amplify it, and then you've got group identity that reinforces it, trolls weaponize it, and your physiology absorbs it. The result is a digital ecosystem where anger naturally rises to the surface. Your phone becomes a window into the most emotionally intense moments of millions of people's lives, which is why social media often feels like a constant crisis, even when the world outside your door may be quiet. Now, how do we regulate? We need to start building a more intentional feed with boundaries. When the environment drives your physiology towards anger, the solution isn't simply willpower, it's changing the environment. And this is the whole purpose of my channel, is we need to change our environment because it's leading to toxic physiology. One of the most powerful strategies you can use for this is intentional feed boundaries, where you deliberately shape the emotional input your brain receives. You can mute outrage-heavy accounts. You know, that person who's constantly upset, constantly outraged, constantly exposing people? Yeah, unfollow them. Unfollow constant conflict pages. Block persistent trolls. Follow people who explain more than they provoke. These changes may seem small, but your nervous system adapts to what it repeatedly sees. And equally, your feed does that too. Because your feed isn't just information, it's input to your emotional system. And when that input changes, your internal state begins to change too. The most important thing to remember is this: your feed is not a neutral reflection of reality. It is an attention engine. And the emotion that captures attention most reliably is anger. So it's not the most truthful, and it's definitely not the most helpful, but it keeps you watching, which means in the digital economy, anger becomes profitable. So when social media feels like a constant battlefield, it may not be because the world is angrier. It may be because anger spreads best inside the system. So next time you see a viral outrage post, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this helping me understand the world? Or is it training my nervous system to stay in conflict? I mean, as much as we love drama, does our body love drama? Not really. No, it doesn't. Because once you see this pattern, okay, once you see the pattern clearly, you stop being pulled into the storm and you start observing it. And the best thing I can say to you is it really worth it? Is the drama worth your nervous system? Is it worth, the stress that you're about to unleash on your body? I don't know about that. Maybe occasionally, but not every single day. Anyway, if you found this episode helpful, you'll probably enjoy the rest of the series on how modern life is shaping your body and mind. So if you want more breakdowns like this, like the video so it reaches more people, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode of Toxic Physiology, where we explain the science behind the chaos in your life. I'll see you in the next episode.